Imagine for a moment that you have a prehistoric survivor on your farm, a relentless sentinel that never sleeps, fears no snake, and is capable of clearing your land of pests without a single chemical. We are talking about the guinea fowl, a bird that seems designed by evolution to be the perfect bodyguard for any homestead. Yet, despite their legendary utility, they hide a mystery that drives many breeders crazy. How do you know if that bird screaming from your roof is a male or a female? Today, we are going to break down absolutely everything you need to know. From the secret of their call to their genetic connection with dinosaurs, through their internal anatomy and group psychology. I promise you that by the end of this journey, you won't just know how to sex your guineas in seconds. You will understand why owning them is the smartest decision you can make for your security and the safety of your entire flock. Let's get started. The biggest headache for anyone starting with these African birds is, without a doubt, identifying their sex. Unlike standard backyard chickens, where a rooster's comb and hackle feathers give you the answer almost immediately, guineas like to play a guessing game. But this is where your ears become your most powerful tool. If you sit quietly near your flock, you'll notice a very specific melody that only the females can perform. It's the famous two-syllable call that we often describe as a pot rack, or the rhythmic buckwheat sound. It is a constant, sharp, and very distinct call. The best-kept secret in the world of poultry is this. The male is physically incapable of producing that second syllable. A male guinea fowl emits a monotonous, single-note shriek, a dry, repetitive chi-chi-chi, or a sharp k-e-k. It is vital to understand that while a female can imitate the male's single-syllable alarm call when she's startled or alert, a male will never, under any circumstances, be able to make the buckwheat sound. So the moment you hear that double syllable, you can be 100% certain you are looking at a hen. But the sound isn't the only thing telling their story. If you are observant and look closely at their faces, their morphology provides the ultimate clues. Take a good look at the wattles, those fleshy flaps of skin hanging from the sides of their beak. In adult males, these wattles are typically much larger, thicker, and most importantly, they have a tendency to curve outward, giving them a much more rugged and aggressive profile. Females, on the other hand, keep their wattles smaller, flatter, and tucked closer to the face, which gives them a more refined appearance. To this, we must add the casque, or the bony helmet on top of their head. While both sexes possess it, the male's casque is usually wider, taller, and more prominent, rising like a true combat horn. If you observe a male and female side by side, you'll notice the male has a more upright posture. He walks with an air of superiority, almost like a soldier on patrol. The female tends to have a more horizontal backline and a slightly more reserved behavior, unless, of course, she is guarding a secret nest. For the more experienced breeders who need absolute confirmation, there is the pelvic bone method. Just like with other poultry, the distance between the pelvic bones widens in females to allow for egg passage, generally measuring about 2 to 3 fingers wide, whereas in males, the bones are much closer together, barely allowing a single finger to pass through. All of this peculiar anatomy and these traits that look like they were plucked from a sci-fi movie have a profound explanation that takes us thousands of miles away from home. The guinea fowl, scientifically known as Numididae meleagris, is not a chicken in the strict sense. It belongs to a completely different taxonomic family called Numididae. Their origin lies in the vast, hostile savannas of Africa, and it is precisely that environment that has shaped their legendary resilience. When you look into their eyes, you are seeing a bird that has retained its wild instincts almost perfectly intact. They are, in essence, quote, living fossils. In fact, many of their features, like the bony casque and the featherless skin on their head, powerfully recall the cassowary or even certain prehistoric theropod dinosaurs. This genetic heritage is what allows them to survive in conditions where a common chicken would quickly perish. Their body is designed for thermal efficiency and constant defense, which explains why they are so high-strung. In the African savanna, letting your guard down for a second means death, and that hypervigilance is what makes them the most efficient biological alarm system on your property today. If we dive deeper into their physical structure, we discover that the helmet on their head isn't just an ornament to look intimidating. This casque is formed by a highly vascularized bony structure covered in keratin that serves a vital thermoregulation function. In the sweltering heat of Africa, the casque acts like a biological radiator, helping the bird dissipate excess body heat while foraging under the intense sun. It is a fascinating piece of evolutionary engineering. And then there is the plumage. That pattern of white sequins or pearls against a dark gray or blue background, which we breeders call pearled, is the perfect camouflage for scrublands and shadows. From a distance, a flock of guineas blends into the environment, breaking up their silhouette against predators like leopards or eagles. Their feathers are extremely dense and held tight to the body, giving them superior aerodynamics for running at high speeds. Because while they can fly and prefer to roost in the highest tree canopies to avoid nocturnal predators, their first instinct will always be a run. Their legs are powerful and robust, designed to cover miles of ground every single day in search of food. This ability to travel long distances is closely linked to their hyper-developed senses. A guinea fowl sees and hears things that we, and most domestic animals, completely ignore. They have exceptional peripheral vision and the ability to detect minimal movements at a great distance. If a red-tailed hawk appears as a tiny black dot in the sky, or if a snake slides silently through tall grass 60 feet away, the guineas will be the first to sound the alarm. Their hearing is just as impressive. They can detect ground vibrations and low-frequency sounds that signal someone is approaching long before you see them. This combination of senses makes them a biological intelligence network. They don't just scream for the sake of screaming. They have a complex language. There is a coast is clear call, a pay attention something is moving call, and an imminent danger shriek that mobilizes the entire group to seek cover or prepare for a counterattack. The group psychology of guineas is another facet that every breeder must master. Unlike chickens, which can be somewhat individualistic, guineas are deeply social and gregarious animals. A lone guinea is a stressed and vulnerable bird. They need the flock to feel secure. Within this group, there is a clear hierarchy, usually led by a dominant male who is responsible for giving the first warning signs and deciding where the flock will go to forage. This social cohesion is so strong that if a guinea gets separated or lost, the rest of the group will not stop calling out with desperate shrieks until they are reunited. This all-for-one mentality is what allows them to face threats that other birds would flee from. When a guinea detects a ground threat, like a snake or a small predator, they don't just scatter. The flock organizes itself, forming a semicircle, and begins to harass the intruder with coordinated shrieks and pecks. It is a display of bravery and strategy that makes it clear why they have survived for millions of years in one of the most competitive environments on the planet. This wild and independent nature is exactly what makes them so valuable, but it is also what presents the greatest challenges for those of us wanting to integrate them into a modern farm. Understanding that you are not dealing with a 100% domesticated animal, but rather a wild ally that is accepted living on your land, is the key to success. Their immune resilience is another pillar of their biology. They are incredibly robust against diseases that typically wipe out common chicken coops. Their digestive system is capable of processing a massive variety of insects and vegetation, extracting nutrients from sources that other birds would simply ignore. Everything about them, from the tip of their bony casque to the strength of their talons, is designed for self-sufficiency. They are survival machines that don't ask for much but offer in return a layer of security and sanitation that is impossible to match with human technology. This brings us to their hunting instinct, the very thing that turns the guinea fowl into the most sophisticated biological weapon you can introduce to your ecosystem. If you're struggling with pests, forget the heavy-duty chemicals. Guineas are essentially living vacuum cleaners for anything that crawls, hops, or slithers. Their diet is fascinating because, unlike common chickens that prefer grain and scratch, guineas prioritize live protein. They are world-famous for their ability to completely eradicate tick populations. A small flock can clear acres of land in just a few days, eliminating not only the nuisance but also the risk of diseases like Lyme or Rocky Mountain spotted fever for your livestock, your pets, and your family. But they don't stop there. Their appetite includes scorpions, crickets, grasshoppers, and even small rodents. What's truly incredible is that they perform this deep cleaning service without destroying your garden. While a chicken will scratch deep into the mulch and rip up your plant's root system searching for worms, a guinea patrols the surface, picking bugs directly off the leaves or the grass without causing any collateral damage to your landscaping. This sanitary utility reaches its peak when we talk about their relationship with snakes. It is not just a rural myth. Guineas are a reptile's worst nightmare. When a guinea spots a snake, it doesn't run away looking for help. It emits a specific battle cry that summons the entire flock in seconds. At that moment, they activate a coordinated siege tactic. They surround the snake in a perfect circle and begin harassing it with lightning-fast movements and precise pecks. They confuse the snake with their numbers and noise until the reptile, exhausted or injured, either retreats or succumbs to the group. Having a flock of guineas creates a no-go zone where snakes simply do not want to be. This deterrent effect extends to other predators, like raccoons, foxes, or even neighborhood dogs. The ear-splitting racket a flock makes when they detect an intruder is so unsettling that most predators would rather go find a quieter, less troublesome meal. They are, quite literally, a life insurance policy for your flock. However, to enjoy all these benefits, the breeder must face the greatest management challenge, preventing the flock from becoming a group of outlaws that roost in the trees and disappear into your neighbor's property. Guineas are creatures of habit, but their loyalty isn't a given. It has to be earned. The secret to getting them back into the coop every night lies in their first 6 weeks of life. If you turn them loose too early, their wild instinct will tell them that any high branch is safer than your coop. The master trick is to keep them confined in a secure run for at least 6 to 8 weeks, allowing them to imprint on that specific space as their home base. But the real ace up your sleeve is conditioned nutrition. You must feed them high-quality grain or a specific treat at the same time every day, right before dusk, inside the coop. By associating your call and the shelter with an irresistible food reward, your guineas will return voluntarily, even from the furthest corners of your property. It's all about psychology. They need to feel that the coop isn't a cage, but rather the place where the reward and total safety from nocturnal predators reside. When it comes to nutrition, it's important to understand that while they are elite foragers, their requirements differ from a standard laying hen. Guineas need higher protein levels, especially during their growth phase as keets. In the wild, their diet is massively insect-based, so if they don't have access to bug-rich terrain, you must supplement their feed with a starter or grower crumble that is at least 20 to 24% protein. This extra energy is what fuels their high-speed metabolism and their ironclad immune system. It's rare to see a guinea suffer from the respiratory or digestive issues that plague commercial chickens. Their hardiness is such that they can withstand extreme temperatures, from sweltering summer heat to freezing winters with snow, as long as they have a dry place to huddle. This resilience makes them economically attractive, as your costs for medications and vet care are practically non-existent if you maintain basic hygiene. This brings us to one of the most controversial and misunderstood topics, their reproductive habits. There is a persistent myth that guineas are bad mothers, but the reality is much more complex and fascinating. Guineas aren't bad mothers, they are wild mothers. Instead of laying eggs in the cozy nesting boxes you provide, they will search for the densest, most hidden, and often most dangerous spot on your property to create a communal nest. Often, several hens will lay in the same spot, creating massive clutches of 30 or 40 eggs. The problem arises because, as seasonal layers that only produce during the warm spring and summer months, their instinct pushes them to abandon a nest if they sense even the slightest presence of a predator or a curious human. Furthermore, when they hatch, the keets are extremely sensitive to dampness and cold. Wet grass is a death sentence for young keets. A mother guinea will lead them through the morning dew in search of bugs, and if those keets get chilled, it's over within hours. This is why, for the breeder looking for a return on investment, success comes from using artificial incubators or broody hens, like a silky chicken, which have a calmer, more protective maternal instinct to care for these little dinosaurs through their fragile first weeks. If you can master the breeding process, you will find yourself in a market full of untapped opportunities. The guinea fowl is not just a guardian, it is a luxury product in the gourmet market. Their meat is dark, lean, and has a flavor profile that resembles pheasant or other wild game more than it does chicken. In high-end culinary circles, it is extremely prized for its low-fat content and intense flavor, allowing you to market it at a much higher price point than standard poultry. And let's not forget their eggs. While they are smaller than chicken eggs, they have a much richer yolk and a shell so hard it feels like stone. This shell doesn't just protect the embryo in the wild, it gives the egg an incredibly long shelf life, staying fresh for much longer without constant refrigeration. There's even a growing niche for renting out biological pest control services where organic farmers and vineyard owners pay to have flocks of guineas keep their crops clean of pests without touching a single grape or leaf. At the end of the day, integrating guinea fowl into your homestead is about much more than just adding birds to a coop. It's about restoring a natural balance that we've lost. It's having a security system that doesn't need electricity, a cleaning crew that doesn't use chemicals, and a high-end product that can transform the economy of your farm. They require patience, yes, and a deep understanding of their language and psychology, but the reward is a flock of loyal allies that will patrol your land with the same fierce spirit their ancestors carried across the plains of Africa. The guinea fowl is, without a doubt, the missing piece of the puzzle for any modern, sustainable farm. We have decoded the secret of their call, understood their prehistoric anatomy, and explored their value as the supreme guardian against pests and predators. Do not see them simply as noisy birds. See them as the most versatile and resilient investment you can make. Mastering their care is mastering the art of working with nature rather than against it. Now that you have the full knowledge from this masterclass, the next step is yours. Listen for that buckwheat call in your yard, observe the wattles on your males, and start building your own feathered army today. For your success, fellow breeder, until next time.